Okay, so you've probably already picked up a spoon today, right?
Almost certainly.
Stirring your coffee, maybe eating some cereal. It's just there,
Right.
so common.
hmm
But have you ever actually stopped and, thought about where it comes from?
Not just the factory, you mean?
Exactly. Not just the physical thing, but the whole idea of it, its journey, and maybe even the feelings tied to it.
It's a really good question. Seems simple, but it's surprisingly deep.
Right.
When you start digging into the spoon's origins, you find all this history, different materials, and honestly, some really quite intimate human stuff.
So that's what we're doing in this deep dive, yeah.
Pretty much. We want to trace that whole evolution from its, well, practical start, the materials used, and yeah, those emotional links we sometimes have with this everyday tool.
Okay, let's do it. So way back, before factories, before metal spoons were even a thing, what were people using?
Well, think about it. The very first spoons weren't made. Not really. They were kind of gifts from nature.
Gifts from nature.
Right.
Like what?
Like, imagine finding a really smooth seashell. Perfectly curved, great for scooping up liquid.
Okay, yeah, I can picture that.
Or maybe a piece of wood that had naturally worn down or hollowed out. Those were your original spoons.
So just finding things in the environment that worked. Simple solutions for a basic need.
Exactly. And the sources we looked at suggest it wasn't just about feeding yourself.
Ah, right. You mean maybe feeding others, like children or someone sick?
Precisely. It hints at that caring aspect right from the beginning. This simple object, potentially used for nurturing. It's quite a powerful thought, isn't it?
It really is. Sustenance, but maybe also care, community, all wrapped up in a shell or a bit of wood.
And it seems the spoon didn't just stay as a purely functional thing for very long.
Oh.
Our sources pointed towards ancient Egypt. Things got a bit more elevated there.
Elevated how? Like fancy spoons?
Yeah, kind of. They started making them specifically out of stuff like ivory or nice wood. And they weren't plain. They often carved them with religious symbols, things like that. They had ceremonial value.
Wow. So moving beyond just eating into something symbolic. Status, maybe.
Maybe.
Belief.
Exactly. It shows how quickly even a basic tool can get loaded with cultural meaning. It wasn't just for soup anymore.
That's a huge leap from finding a shell on the beach.
It is, isn't it?
And speaking of materials, the word spoon itself, the sources mentioned its origin, which I found fascinating.
Oh, yeah, the etymology. It's quite direct.
That one?
It comes from an old word basically meaning ship of wood.
No way.
Yeah, it's a direct line back to those early wooden implements. Really grounds the word, doesn't it? We think metal now, but it started with wood.
Makes you wonder if the words in other old languages connect back to natural stuff, too.
Could well do, reinforcing that common starting point.
Language is amazing like that, holding those little echoes. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Think more personally.
Okay.
One thing that really stood out from our reading was the link between spoons and, well, feeding,
Mm-hmm.
especially when we're very young.
Ah, yes. That's a hugely significant connection. For most of us, a spoon is literally the first tool we ever encounter, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it is.
And it's used in this act of complete dependence and trust. Someone else is providing nourishment.
It's incredibly intimate when you think about it.
Totally. It's tied up with nurturing, with care, with building that fundamental bond between, say, a parent and child. The spoon becomes this symbol of needing and receiving care.
Which makes that common saying, don't spoon feed me, kind of interesting.
How so?
Well, the saying treats being spoon-fed information or help as a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it implies weakness or dependence.
Yeah, that's true.
But our first experience with a literal spoon is so positive, so linked to trust and care. It's like society teaches us later that needing that kind of direct help is negative.
That's a really sharp observation. There's definitely a tension there. The metaphor flips the script, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the literal act, especially early on, or maybe when someone's unwell, it's undeniably about closeness, consent, intimacy.
So maybe we have this deep down positive association from infancy.
Mm-hmm.
But then we overlay it with these pressures about independence and self-reliance, which makes the idea of being fed seem problematic later on.
It's quite a complex load for such a simple object to carry.
Tell me about it. Okay, so let's zoom forward to now. Today, spoons are everywhere. Steel, plastic, sometimes you just throw them away.
Mass-produced, ubiquitous.
Yeah, and yet, lots of people, maybe most people, have a favorite spoon, don't you see?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely do.
Why is that? In this world of identical spoons, why do we get attached to one particular one?
I think it often boils down to really subtle things, sensory stuff.
Like what?
like the weight of it, how it balances in your hand,
Okay.
or the feel of the metal or material, on your lips. Even the specific sound it makes during your tea or scraping the bowl.
Huh. Never consciously thought about the sound before.
Right. But these little details connect with us. They can trigger memories, feelings of comfort, familiarity. Even if it's mass-produced, that one feels right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I know I've got spoons in the drawer that just feel better to use. And the sources suggested this could link back to personal history, too.
Exactly. Maybe it was your grandmother's spoon, or it just reminds you of being home or a certain time in your life.
So these mundane objects become little anchors. Anchors to memories, people, places.
Precisely. They soak up personal history. It shows that even the most common things can hold layers of meaning we don't always acknowledge. What about you? Got a special spoon?
Huh, maybe.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's try and pull this all together. The spoon. Where does it really come from? It's clearly not just about efficient eating.
No, definitely not. Its origins are, well, they're layered. It comes from basic human need, sure gotta eat,
Right. Necessity.
and from nature itself, those early shells and wood.
Bound objects.
Then through human invention, craftsmanship, moving into materials like metal, ivory.
Technology and culture.
But maybe the most vital thread, as we've been discussing, is how it's tangled up with our emotions. With care, with memory, with those subtle feelings of comfort and connection to the objects we use every single day.
So it started practical, maybe even crude, but it's absorbed all this meaning along the way. Nourishment, yes, but also comfort, warmth, maybe even our earliest sense of trust.
Beautifully put. And the intention behind it, fundamentally, seems to be about offering something good. Nourishment, soothing, warmth.
So the takeaway then,
Yeah.
next time you pick up a spoon.
Yeah. Maybe just take half a second. Think beyond what it physically holds, the soup, the cereal, whatever.
Think about the journey.
Yeah, the journey. And the human story behind it. That web of need, invention, care, and memory, all concentrated in that simple shape.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What story is your spoon holding?